So, hello again. It's been a while. Basically, everything that could happen in the space of a month pretty much did. I was ill flat out for pretty much an entire week. I had delays on third-party parts I wanted. You name it, pretty much happened. But I thought, although the printer isn't completely finished, I'll show you in a second, I thought it might be good to just go through the good bits and the issues I had of the Voron kit that I showed you last time. So let's take a look, shall we? And here it is in its partially completed state. My word. So I can't actually move any further back to get it in shot. It's that big. It's the 350mm if you haven't seen my previous video, and it is working. Now, I haven't actually done any prints on it, but you can see that, you know, it's all doing what it should be doing. Let's see if we can do just a quick homing sequence on it. The wiring's a bit messy on the hot end. I'm going to tidy that up and possibly use a board. And as you can see, I haven't sped up the homing sequence yet, but it's working. If I do a quad level gantry, you'd be able to see it going at full speed. As you can see, wires rubbing, and there's still some bits to do. But because I'm going to be otherwise indisposed for the next week or so, I thought it best to do this video now rather than just leaving you waiting even longer than you already have. So yeah, so this is my Voron 2.4 build. It does have some slight changes. You can see there we're using an MGM12 with the Trident X-axis and version of the afterburner extruder. That all went really together. I'll cover a few caveats first, but let's just cover these Formbot kit actual stuff. So, good bits. Rails are good. Belts are good, if not fully tensioned yet. Screen's nice. Everything went together. You know, all the parts are nicely finished. Any scratches you see are probably things that I did. It's such a big and bulky printer that it's a real challenge to assemble the whole thing. But essentially, my assembly process was I put all the parts in. Excuse my crap everywhere. In nice little sorters. And put it together from there. So I had one sorter for M3, one sorter for M5. Ignore the tools and clippers. If anyone was wondering, I used clear VHB. It came with grey though, which is this one here. And all the parts came in nice little baggies with what they are on them. Ignore this. This is something I had to do later on. I'll explain why in a bit. And yeah, so build bed, I've heated it up. It made some interesting creaking and groaning noises, but it seems all still flat and everything. What I've done is I've done tight on here, slightly looser on here, slightly looser on here, and not attached it here, just to help with the expansion contraction when it actually gets up to full temperature. As you can see, I've not had time to put on the outer casing yet. So let's just go through the components. So frames, brilliant, can't fault them. They were exactly what I wanted. They were all pre-tapped where they needed to be tapped and pre-holed where they needed to be holed. Brilliant. All nicely adenized, although I've managed to scratch it already. Yeah, can't fault them. Nothing was twisted or weird or bent or anything like that. Linear rails, the Vidrino branded ones, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, no problems. They run nicely. Perfect. The electronics I won't show you because it requires upending the entire blinking thing, and I haven't done the cable management yet. But suffice to say, everything came, worked as advertised, perfect. I did not use the gold SSR. I used the Oh god, what brand is it? Oh, Voron. I'm just going to start, sorry, slightly awkward angle, I'll get level gantry so you can see that do its thing. And to be honest, everything went really well with that. So all the bearings and oh god, what are they called? Toothy bits worked absolutely fine, and it's been great. So, like I said, I replaced the SSR with a Omron branded one, just for my own peace of mind. I hear now that they're actually shipping with them now. This is using the supplied sensor, by the way, and it takes a little while to do, but actually repeatability has been very good. Now I'm doing this cold, so you can imagine that it's going to be a bit different when it's all heated up and in the chamber. But yeah, so far no issues. I think the wiring loom as supplied is a little bit gangly. I think they could have done a slightly better job on that, but yeah, I would put it this way, I would expect to do some wiring work. It's not all perfect out the box. So probe seems fine so far. Obviously I haven't had a chance to test it in a high heat environment, so your mileage may vary. If I have problems, I might go clicky probe, we'll see. Cable chains have actually been really good. The only issue I had was to do with the fixings, and I'll explain that in a sec. Motors, absolutely fine, no issues. So, what did I have a problem with? Okay, so, first things first, I had a problem with these little fellas. Let me just pick one up for you. So these are the M3 T-nuts. See if I can get that focus. Maybe not. Ah, that's better. Right, and this one, as you can see, I've popped the ball back in, but there's no spring. And this one just had no spring or ball at all, and they weren't in the packet. So I had about 5 of these all together, and some of them were slightly dubious quality. Some of the tapping wasn't that great. So I would recommend getting at least a 1 spare bag of M3 and M5 T-nuts, just to make sure that A, you've got plenty, and B, if you do run into any issues, you've got some from a reputable source, hopefully. The other issue I had was there weren't really any spares of certain screw types, notably M3 6mm button heads, which I actually ran out of completely. These are used for, I don't know if you can see that, mounting the cable chains and a couple of other places. Now, part of this is because I'm using the Trident electronic bay, and I think that uses different screws, but I'm not 100% sure. Certainly isn't going to do you any harm to order some extras of, well, I would say most of the screws. Particularly larger ones, you get exactly the right amount, and although it's actually been pretty good for that sort of thing, the M6's being the only major issue, I would probably say it's worth getting in some extra screws. One issue I did have that stopped me for a little bit was to do with the extruder. So I can't, you might be able to see it in here, but yeah, it came with an original Fatus Dragon High Flow, which I picked as part of the order, and I'll give you a few better views while I'm trying to do this. It didn't come with the screws to attach them, so the 2.5s were completely missing, and there weren't any, which is odd because they did remember on the 0.1 kit so it might be worth just making sure you've got a few of those spares. And this comes about because they supply the OEM kit rather than the retail kit of the Dragon Hot End. The Dragon Hot End normally actually comes with these kinds of fixings. Oh, and if you're wondering, this is completely RGB. I've set it to all white because I like the way it looks, but yeah, there's 3 separate lights in here that control the screen colour, which looks a bit bluey from here, but that's just the tint it's got, and the light on the knob, which is really cool. You could potentially change it as you go. So those were 2 of the biggest niggles I have had with the whole thing, really. Now, in terms of other stuff, you can see I've still got quite a lot of fixings left, and most of this is going to be for putting on the outer parts, so I'm assuming there's going to be enough there. I would recommend, if you don't have any, you get loads of these. I don't think you'll have an issue with those, but it might be worth getting some M5 ones. I found them really useful when the standard ones wouldn't fit. A good example was on the rails on X and Y. You can't see it because it's on the bottom. Towards the this end, I found that to attach these 2 screws, this one protruded because that one was bumping up against the one holding in the rail. So I just used a hammer type here just to secure that right at the very end, and that works beautifully, and there's no rubbing anymore. Overall, the kit was a good experience. I think if you're using the parts as supplied, you could make a good go of a 2.4. So let's go on to some changes. So I made some changes, and of course this meant I ran into some unforeseen issues. These are strictly if you make these changes. But first I'm just going to cut to in a video I did a couple of weeks back about the supplied Canovo, the supplied Vivduino heat mat, and the Canovo that I've actually used. So, using my time machine, I've gone back in time to when the machine wasn't finished. You can see the lovely in-part built frame there. But I thought I'd show you just the difference between the heater mat that I bought and the one that came with the kit. So this is the Vivduino one that came with the kit. There's a little doohickey on there. 220 volt, 650 watt, got CE mark. I have no idea whether that's got any value at all or not, and it's Vivduino branded. It actually looks like quite nicely built. I mean, there's a bit of separation on the backing layer, but who cares about that, you know? And it's got this adhesive, which I assume is good enough. I haven't looked it up. The main thing about the one that came with it was all pre-crimped. So we've got ferrules on the end of the power lines, and the thermistor is all pre-crimped as well. But one thing it does lack is the fuse, the variable cutout fuse. So you still have to attach that yourself. Now, I've never used a Vivduino mat before. The one on the 0.1 I've got has been absolutely fine, but that's a much smaller 24 volt type affair, so it's a whole different world really when you start going into mains and you know, sort of 650 watts. But that's the one that comes with it. I don't think there's any real issues with it. I mean, it seems well enough made. You know, it survived a tug test on the wires and everything, so I think you'd probably be okay using it, but it's up to you. But what I did was I went for something a bit beefier. So from 123d.co.uk in UK, I bought this, which is a Canovo branded mat. As you can see, it is considerably larger since it's designed to cover pretty much the entire heat bed. You can see it's got all the little notches for the Trident and the 2.4 screw mounts, so you know you're not going to run into any problems with pinching. And you know it's good quality again. Any sort of marks you see are more to do with the glue and the whatnot, and it uses exactly the same things. Now this one's a bit different in terms of electricity. First of all, we've got a much longer lead. Chances are, especially on a 2.4, you're not going to use hardly any of that. Same goes for the thermistor. No crimping, of course, because it's just what it is. It's all quite firmly sealed. But you see that little bulge? That's an internal fuse. So it's already got the thermal fuse wired in as part of the unit, which I think is a great selling point. Now, this particular one is designed with a PT100 thermistor instead of one of the standard ATC ones, which meant that I did have to get a which came about as a bit of a confusion. Basically, the company ordering them accidentally ordered them with PT100s, or they accidentally supplied PT100s rather than the ATC thermistors. Don't actually think you need a PT100 for this sort of thing for a heat bed, really, because it's never going to get to that high temperatures. But nonetheless, here it is. I've whittled on about it for long enough. This is one of the substitutions I made over the original kit. One of the benefits of this is you can run this at full power instead of having to tame it back in firmware, which hopefully means that it should heat up a bit faster than the other ones and be a bit more even as well. Right, back to the future. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully that made sense. It went on beautifully, by the way. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, that's my Canovo mat. And as you can see, I've sort of trimmed it with some high temperature goop as neatly as I could. And you can see we've got quite a bit of thing. You can just about make out the bulge at the back there where the thermal fuse is, which is a lovely thing to have just built into the mat rather than having to worry about it separately. I was very surprised. The textured side of the supplied one with, and this came with the kit, has a Formbot design logo, which is quite nice. I haven't tried it out though, can't vouch for this. just don't have time to get this printing before before life gets in the way for a bit. So yeah, but it's very similar to 0.1 kit I had, and that was a good surface. The reverse, I think I show on the other video. Oops, that's far too low, isn't it? Yeah, the magnet's strong. Oh. Anyway, yeah. So I had to cut out the notches for the screws myself. So if you're clever, you would adjust it before you did that. Yeah, it's got a fair bit of bite. If I just put that down, this is what the other side looks like. I've got no idea. I think it's got PI on it. And you can see it's sort of coloured. In real life, it's actually a much darker colour than this, but you can't see it because of the camera. And ignore my filthy floor. This is my workshop, and it is not exactly super clean at the moment. Right, I'm just going to turn off the printer for the moment because it doesn't need to be on, and just try and slide this back in. My own fault for not singing. I already managed to scratch it. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, chaos it is. Right. So what else did I do differently? Well, after having a look on Discord and stuff, I decided to do the 12mm X-axis mod. So what this is basically is, instead of using two 9mm, one on the front, one on the bottom, you just use one MGM12 right across the front. and you also use the Trident end gantries, and it all fits together rather well, unless you use the supplied Hall effect sensor board, in which case nothing lines up. So although you can see I have actually got the magnet mounted on the back there, just see it there, and on the side of the Trident version of the X carriage, let's see if I can point that out, yeah, there we go, they don't actually line up. If ultimately the 2.5 or whatever it ends up being actually called uses this chassis, I suspect there'll be a revised version of the Hall effect end stops, but I just ended up putting together a standard version. What I did was I just wired up a 4-pin GST connector so I could use the existing connector, basically disconnecting the voltage line and just having them both connect and see on ground. Nice and easy, it works beautifully, job done. So that's the major change. We'll see how it goes long term, but yeah, that was it. The other major change is on the electronics, which is I used the Trident mounting hardware. I found that they didn't quite fit on the rails that were supplied, and I'm not entirely sure why, but they just didn't. And I spent a bit of time filing them to make them work, but it did work in the end, and it's all been fine. And that's it really. I'm not going to make this video any longer than it already is. And when I get back, I'll probably do a video on something else. If there's any questions in the meantime though, I will have access to the internet, so I should be able to answer any questions you've got. Just don't expect a quick answer. And I think that's it. Just for reference, this is my wonderful workshop in all the absolute bloody chaos that is. There's my 0.1 hiding out over by the stereo system at the moment. Ignore the chaos. There's my Anycubic stuff hiding in a little protective area, so I've got a nice ventilated area. This might be the subject of a future video. It's my work in progress Voron legacy that is incomplete at the moment. It just needs electrical wiring really. But as you can see, that's done using PTG. I'm basically going to use this as a PLA workhorse. But it needs a clicky probe because it's only got a really thin bed that I'm reusing, and that is going to warp like crap, so I'm going to stick some glass on it. Hence only using PLA and PTG on it in the future. More crap, more crap, more crap. There's the Victory Octopus box. And a few bits that are going on the thing later. My Pusher Mark III, my reliable workhorse, love it to bits. It will just keeps on going. It's fairly indestructible, love it. And I've also got an Ender 3 down there that is a Duet and, if I can crouch down, and E3D Chimera. That's another solid workstation. There's a little bit of a sneak peek of an earlier video. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but that is, hiding in there is an E3D Revo, or the Mark 7 Beta version of it anyway. Yeah, so I'm one of those guys. Bits, Tentacle Monster, of course the lovely ducks. Look at them, I got all three, but look at the quality change. So this is what squeaks. We did. Squeak for me, squeak for me. Oh, he's broken. Oh, poor thing. And some random benches, including the incredibly bloody ropey one. Good God, look at that. Anyway, so that's just Oh, and of course I've got a Chinesium laser cutter for blinding people I don't like and cutting materials. So if you're interested in any of this stuff and you'd like me to do a video about anything, including this cake, yeah, let me know and I'll try when I get back. But yeah, that's it for this. Thank you for the few people who've subscribed. I've got no idea where this channel's going. Maybe it'll become a thing. I'm not sure. And hopefully when I get back I'll be able to pump out some more regular videos. There's a whole bunch of stuff I want to do. If you haven't grasped it by now, I have been 3D printing for quite a long time. So I've got a lot to say, and I've only just got round to actually saying stuff about it. So maybe I'll do some more videos. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, thank you all for your attention, and I'll see you in another video sometime.